Hi, and welcome to Something to Talk About. I'm Linda McNamee, and for the next hour or so, we are going to talk about keeping your sanity during life changes. We will find out more about that in a moment, but as usual, I would like to start with a few little housekeeping things. If you have a question for our wonderful guest this evening, whom you will meet momentarily, you can give us a call at 781-270-9199. Or if you have a question afterwards or a suggestion for a future topic, you can always email me at talk@bcattv.org. I would like to thank the crew for this evening. We have Chris Flaherty, who is one of the staff members here and makes sure that all of us volunteers stay in line and don't burn down the building. Hopefully that won't happen because I know where the fire extinguisher is. Kidding, Chris. And we also have Stephanie Floridas, who's in for pretty much the rest of the crew because we had a couple of illnesses and vacationing crew. So thank you, Chris. Thank you, Stephanie. And last but definitely not least, I would like to thank my husband, Paul, for staying home for Daddy date night. Hopefully the kids have come indoors and let you stop playing baseball for now. So I think that is all of our housekeeping rules. Now I'd like to introduce my wonderful guest for this evening, Marie Grinnell.
Hello.
Hello. And we go way back.
We do. I know you're wonderful
really,
children.
So,
I know you're great children.
So you wear many hats.
I do.
And tonight you are going to put on your postpartum doula hat.
Yes.
But we'd like to find out a little bit more about all those other hats you wear.
Okay.
I know. I don't know why I'm on this hat obsession right now, so I apologize.
I like it. Okay.
Anyway, can you tell me a little bit more about yourself and share with the audience basically where you grew up, how you came to the Burlington area, and how you decided to become a postpartum doula.
So I grew up in Arlington, and was married, and we moved to Burlington in 1999. So I've been here. What's that? 18?
Something
Something like that. Yeah, so this is now home. So I grew up in Arlington.
You're a townie.
I am. I love it. It's a great town. I like this town. So I grew up in an American-Italian home with lots of love and lots of people and lots of food.
Pasta.
Lots of food, okay. Spaghetti and meatballs on Sundays for sure. And it's just a great, great childhood. Just friends, family, support everywhere. I went to Bridgewater State College, which is now
State University.
Yes, and I've got my degree in early childhood education. I remember being in at Arlington High School in the preschool program. I worked there in high school, and I remember my teacher saying, "You can go to college for this," and I'm like, "I can?
I can?
That's great!
I can get paid to do this.
I love it. I love everything about this." And so I did. I got my degree in early childhood education.
Okay. With the goal of teaching preschool?
With the goal of teaching preschool, yes. That's. I knew I loved, 2, 3, 4s.
I also majored in education, but it was more of like the elementary school.
Okay.
So, and I decided I didn't want my own classroom. So you're much more successful with using your degree than I am with mine.
Yeah. I just knew. I love the little people. You just swear.
They're like little people.
Yes. Your children. So let's see. I taught for 6 years in a preschool in Weston.
Okay.
And I loved it. I had a co-teacher, and I loved that bond we had, just sharing information together, teaching the children together, just this support, guidance, this whole just
working with that
together.
Age group, it's probably easier I can imagine it'd be easier to have somebody to bounce ideas off of and play off of each other in the classroom and keep things lively.
Yes, that, and I realized that I like working with young children, but also having an adult in the picture too, somehow.
Okay.
I mean, all these little stepping stones to sort of where I am today. I realize, I look back, in my life.
Oh, so that
was one part. Okay, check. And then when I had my first daughter, I stopped teaching.
Okay.
And I started to work for Boston Sports Club in Waltham as a supervisor in the child care area.
Oh, okay.
Because I could bring her with me.
Perfect.
And I could still be with children. I could work out and still be with her, and it was all good. And what I learned while I was there, I was responsible for checking the parents in. So I'd see these mamas bringing their babies, because we started at 6 weeks.
Oh, wow.
So they would bring, so
that's like really little.
Really little, 6 weeks, and they'd come in with, if they had some toddlers or siblings as well, And so I really enjoyed, of course, the babies. But I loved speaking with the moms and talking about their experience. So because they'd be there for 9 months, and I'd see them, with their older siblings, dropping them off, and then throughout their pregnancy, then they'd be gone, and then they would come back, and so we would talk. And I was so interested in their experiences and their stories and how they were doing. And I was having my children at the same time, so I could really, we could really bond and understand and connect. And
because sometimes, I remember when I was a new mom, it's like, is it me or is this normal? And sometimes, and everybody's story is different. So a lot of times you really don't know.
Right. So true. So through that experience, they inspired me, these moms, with their dedication to themselves, working out at 6 weeks postpartum.
Yeah.
Like wow, right?
Wow, yeah.
I know.
I was lucky if I left the house after 6 weeks.
Today I can say, wow, they were really strong. Really, they must have had some great support for them to be able to get out and start thinking of themselves at that point.
And get out
with the babes,
a child or more than one
yes.
child. Wow.
Right. So that was a really great experience for me too, sort of adding to my kind of just thought processes and figuring where am
out,
I going now?
The roadmap.
Right, because I'm a mom. I was a mom now. I will always be an educator, but I wasn't in the classroom. But I was doing this, and at that, having my second and third child, I opened up a home daycare at home. So I did that part-time as well as working at the gym. And I also teach for the Burlington Recreation Department, which is how we met. That's right. I had both of your sweet babies in my Mommy and Me class.
Although my son was usually, talk to the hand, or he'd growl at you.
Right.
He's finally gotten out of the growl phase.
But sometimes he'd be in the hallway, remember? And then we'd get him in. Eventually he would come in and sing with us. Yes, he did. He did great.
Yes,
it was good.
Eventually.
Yes.
I love him dearly, but he was a challenge at times. Okay, so anyway.
So through the rec department, I met a mom, and she was pregnant with twins. She had a 2-year-old at home.
Oh, man.
A 2-year-old, and she was pregnant with twins. And she said, I know I need something. I don't know what. I don't know what I need, but I need something, some kind of help.
Okay.
So at that time,
it's amazing that she was able to recognize that too, because I know a lot of times I was just like sitting at home going, I don't know what I need.
Yeah, she's an amazing woman. She is. She really is an amazing woman, and I was again so proud that she recognized that for herself.
Oh, absolutely.
Like just really taking care of herself and her marriage and her family, because they said the 2-year-old really kind of surprised them, how parenting and everything that comes with that. So while I was there helping them out, they had nighttime help. So they had these ladies coming in from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. And I learned that they were postpartum doulas. That was the term. And I had never heard of that before. I've heard of midwives, maybe even birthing doulas I maybe heard here or there, but never.
Yeah, I think I've heard of birthing doulas before.
But
they never used the term birthing. It was just a doula.
Right, so postpartum. So I spoke with some of these women, and they embraced me and introduced me to
mentor.
Yeah, they did. They said, we're going to this training because a few of us are still in the process of becoming postpartum doulas. Would you like to join us? And I said, yes, I would love to.
Twist,
and
go ahead,
yeah, because I love any kind of learning about families and children and nurturing. And so I attended this power weekend, is what I call it. Intense, and it was great. My children were still young at the time, so it was like, I have to go away for a couple of days.
No, Mommy. And of course, your heart gets ripped out and then stomped on, but yeah.
For a second and a half, and then I loved being by myself. But I met some wonderful people there. So I became a trained postpartum doula through.
So what was involved in that training?
So we were in a hotel, which was super exciting for me.
With a sauna,
with or just like food and coffee that I didn't have to make. It was just
nice
so
bed.
great.
You could get a full 8 hours.
Right.
Anyway,
training. We didn't sleep there, but there were just 4 of us, 4 women.
That's it?
And yes,
oh, wow.
4 women and then the instructor. And so we just sort of followed the syllabus and we learned how to, let's see, what did we did a lot of talking like this, like interviewing, pretending that we were with new clients, and how could we formulate our questions, or how do we listen. And so lots of learning on how to listen appropriately.
So you listen to understand, not listen to respond.
Correct.
Okay.
Right.
I remember hearing that somewhere. I'm like,
yes,
that's really cool.
Right. Okay. So that you can be giving that emotional and spiritual support.
Okay.
That's what it's all about.
Spiritual as opposed to...
As in your
not
spirit.
Really, not
as
really,
in your...
I'm like, we're not getting into religion.
We're not getting into religion.
Okay.
Nope. It's just your spirit. And you're happy, or are you sad? That kind of spirit.
Because every time you say postpartum, I automatically put depression after that.
Right.
So.
I know, yes.
Okay.
Which is something we look out for and watch out for. But we are not... clinical, we are not medical. We cannot
You're just
advise.
like, you look like you have signs of depression.
Part of the training was, one of the days was signs and things to keep your eye out for. And so the role would be for me to see it and then say, these are my thoughts.
Because you're trying to be objective at this point, right? Okay, so you're like the objective, I don't want to say outsider, because you are in their home and, I don't know how to phrase it, but it's like, so you're still kind of objective. And
yes. So I am hired as...
So you're looking at the mom.
Yeah. So, looking at the mom. Okay. Like, I am hired as that person to come in. I am not the mother-in-law. I am not the aunt. I am not the sister. I am the trained professional that comes in to give the physical, emotional, and spiritual support to the new family when the baby comes home. I am there to guide, support,
and teach. Because you have to teach them how to have that support system in place.
Right, the support system, but also within themselves. So my role is to educate them so that they feel confident to take it over on their own. I don't go in there and take over and do everything. I step back and teach. Like, this is how we're going to swaddle the baby so that at 2 in the morning, that baby's going right back to sleep. And this is how we're going to do it. So I can demonstrate maybe once or twice.
I wish I knew you 8 years ago.
I get that all the time. I said, I know.
So during this training, let's focus on the training. Yeah. So you learned how to support the new mom.
Yep.
Whether or not she had other children, but she's new to this infant.
Yes.
Or new to this newborn.
Yep.
You're there to support, not really support, but help care for the child, the baby.
Right. So it starts with the mom.
The mom.
Mothering the mom. That's what it is. So my role is to make sure that mom is fed and well rested and hydrated and can take a shower and can take a nap.
I don't have time to eat. Yes, you do.
And to remind, and to remind her to take care of her. Okay. And I also help if she's nursing, just help through that process. Also.
That was pleasant.
I mean,
it's
can be
not
challenging.
Natural to nurse your child. Well, it is, but it's not an innate skill.
Right, and every woman is different, and every baby is different. And some babies are going to have a beautiful latch, and it's going to be effortless almost. And others are just going to,
not in my case.
It's going to take a little bit more. Exactly. And I'm there to say, okay, we can do this.
Yes.
We've got this.
And it's not you.
Right.
Yeah. You're doing everything right. There's
normal.
Just something else.
It's that reassurance that we all really need.
Yeah.
Right? We all really need that. But in these vulnerable,
and especially
intimate
moments,
I mean, they welcome me into their home during this time, this very vulnerable and intimate time in their lives. And it's a pleasure and an honor for me to be there, for sure. Always.
Cool.
Always.
So feeding the baby, swaddling the baby, little baby straitjackets. We called them.
Those are fantastic. I teach them how to do it and tell them it's okay if it's tight. Nothing's gonna happen.
They're used to being in a squished space. You need to squish them.
Yes. Yep. So the soothing, all the soothing techniques. I get lots of, what am I supposed to do about the nails? How do I trim these nails?
Yeah. And those things are sharp.
Yep. And so you have to sort of know some moms.
Which I kept saying when my daughter, who is almost 9 now, she was an infant, I'm like, if someone wants to make $1 million, open a nail salon for infants. Because I pay somebody to do that. It was,
Right.
Okay, tangent, I'm sorry.
So you do, you teach them, get a file and go down, maybe after the bath when they're a little softer, it's an easier time.
Because the whole wait for the kid to be sleeping thing never worked for me.
Right. Or just put little socks or mitts on them if you really can't do it, if you're afraid you're gonna, we never want to stress anybody out. Okay, put a glove over it for now. Wait till we have a good night's sleep and then we'll get after it. That's what I try to say that. Yeah. So it starts with mom. After we care for mom, it's sort of baby. Then we sort of do that, teach how to give a bath.
Now, is this stuff that you already knew, or do they still review in this? Going back to the training.
They review. They absolutely review.
Because I remember the difference between baby number 1 and baby number 2. For me, some of the techniques that they taught me in the hospital had changed. Yeah. So I'm just
right. So I learned whatever technique was happening at that time. Right. And then just explaining
from the time that you learned how to for your kid versus now you're doing things.
My oldest, who will be 17, she was in the wedge. You probably don't even know.
Yes, I do remember
the wedge, and she'd be on her side, all swaddled up on her side in the wedge.
Those little triangle foam thingies.
Yes.
Okay.
But by my third, and there's a 5-year difference. Nope, flat on the back. None of this side stuff. So things change.
Well, friends of mine had the wedge, but it wasn't even an option for me.
Right.
And now there's always been controversy, binky, no binky, but it's like.
Right. So because I'm there during it's the 3 months, or some 12 to 16 weeks.
Okay.
For the first 8 weeks, we're all just trying to get used to this new normal. Okay. We're just trying to transition from what we once were to what we are now. Okay. And what I really try to advocate for my families is, if you want to use a pacifier, if you're comfortable with that, let's go for it. Let's do it. If that's going to give everybody 20 more minutes of rest, let's do it. If you don't want to, then I will support that as well. And let's figure out different strategies then of what we can do instead of using a binky, and whatever the pediatrician says and however you guys work that out. Yeah. I just support really whatever.
Okay.
And try to give gentle suggestions, right?
Okay.
Based on experience with other families. I find a lot of the clients like to hear that this is normal. Is this normal? That reassurance,
It's like, am I a bad parent if I use a binky? No, you're not a bad parent.
Nope, not at all. So after baby, it kind of comes down to household. So, family. Okay. So that's like partner, siblings, pets, grandparents, aunts, uncles.
Yeah, my cat was really jealous.
Yeah, for sure. It's a very
did not
real.
Like having mommy taken away.
Yeah.
Mommy sharing time.
Right, and I have some clients who are really heartbroken when they have to leave their pet to have the baby. It's hard for them.
Wow.
Yeah, it's hard for them. Yeah, and then they come home, and they have this baby, and they're sort of struggling with all this affection and then having to deal with the pet. So we deal with that a lot.
Oh, okay.
But it all works out as long as we're just smart about it, make sure we're safe, because an animal is to an animal, and the owners, the clients know this, but yeah.
I just remember, hearing stories about, protecting the baby from the animal.
Yes.
And, we had set up the crib in my daughter's room, and the cats used to like jumping in there and taking naps. And somebody's like, no, don't teach the cat to go into the crib.
Right.
So they said, put aluminum foil. Oh yeah, that didn't do any.
Oh my gosh, one more thing.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it was before I had the baby.
Oh, I see.
It was,
okay.
8 months, we had the crib set up, and the cats are like, what's in here?
Oh,
I need to check
play
this
with.
out. So they would play with the foil, and once the baby showed up, they weren't interested anymore.
Right.
So
It does, and it all works out. And that's what I say too. I say, this is really hard. It is.
Yeah.
It's hard. This sleep deprivation and this crying and all this
And
24/7. It's hard, but I promise you, this baby's going to sleep 4 to 5 consecutive hours. I promise, and so are you. Yeah. And it's like, wow.
What?
And then when it happens, it's amazing for them, and on those days when I walk in, I'll say, how was the night? 4 hours. We all slept, and I feel great today, and I want to go for a walk today, and I want to, it's just, there's the spirit.
Excellent.
And you see it, the spirit.
Okay.
And it's very rewarding all around.
Okay. And then the fourth step
sort of the
is
fourth
like household.
Is the household, which is more so the
Making
laundry.
sure the dog gets fed.
Yeah, right. Well, no, I definitely don't do that. Not me. But some doulas probably do. But I am.
Well, you just remind somebody to feed the dog.
Yeah, feed the dog, take care of the dog. Emptying the dishwasher. If I prepare a light meal for mom, or even for mom and dad, like sandwiches and fruit or something, just clean up after myself, wipe down the area. I'm not going to be cleaning the oven. I'm not going to be mopping the floor. We don't do things like that, but we certainly do some light house cleaning.
Vacuuming.
To help, yeah. We don't vacuum, no.
Bringing the cat to the vet.
Right. Well, if they wanted to go, and we all wanted to go together, then we would go together. And I would go with them to support them through that. How do we bring baby now and cat to the vet in one car? Oh my gosh, when partner has left.
At the same time.
Yeah, partner has gone back to work, and it's me by myself, mom by myself. How do we do this? And I do that a lot.
So in that case, for instance, would you just kind of be the voice of reason and saying, okay, now put the kid in the kid carrier and put the cat in the cat carrier?
Right. We would brainstorm together.
So you wouldn't help. You wouldn't actually do it.
I would, but we would talk. I'm trying to empower. I'm trying to build confidence and let them know you can do this. I'm here for you. Let's do it. I'm going to be here with you now. We're going to do it together. But you've got this. I know you do. Let's go.
Because I'm saying, I'm just kind of thinking if you were to do it with the new mom, wouldn't she rely on you as a crutch?
Right. So that's the balance.
Where do you find the balance?
Right.
How do you find that balance?
So as a teacher, I'm a teacher at heart. It is just who I am. And so it's very natural for me to pose questions like, tell me how you're going to do this. I treat them like my students. How are you going to do this? And so we'll talk it out first, and I'm like, that sounds really reasonable and really smart. And however, it could be hard. So I am here. So who do you want? Animal or baby? How can I help you in this? And it's okay to ask for help in those moments. Some moms will say, let me figure it out. Just watch me. I'm here for you. I'm your cheerleader. Let's do this. And others will say, okay, I think I can go down the stairs, but I'm going to need your help once we get in the car, because now how do I get the car seat in?
Because also if it's, the first 6 weeks, a lot of times, depending on the mom's delivery of said child, they might be restricted in, no driving, no heavy lifting, no whatever.
Right. So we wouldn't. We would follow the pediatrician and the doctor's
So you still have that problem-solving element. Okay, you can't lift this, so how are we going to get,
The clients know that. The parents know that. They understand. Yeah.
Now, when you find a client, I'm just kind of thinking statistically, How often is it a first time or a first child versus, when you said you were first introduced, it was a mom who already had a 2-year-old and was expecting twins. So how often are there siblings versus are there not older siblings?
For me personally, I have worked with both, of course.
Okay.
I get most of my clients from referrals from previous clients. So typically first time parents. That's
because I'm just thinking, I don't know if insecurity is the right word, but the fear of the unknown.
Yes.
Having a baby. Oh no, what's going to happen? What should I expect?
Right.
I can imagine that being more intimidating than having a second or third child.
For sure. Yeah.
And then I'm also thinking, have you noticed in your experience like a trend versus, single versus multiple kids? Like twins
So
versus...
I like to work with multiples. That is my passion.
Wow.
It's just,
okay.
Yeah, because it's such a different experience. It really. My children are 2.5 years apart. But when you
which
have
is still
twins,
not easy,
which is still crazy fun,
but
crazy
a different
time.
kind of crazy.
Multiples, it's just literally double everything, and it's
really
or triple. It's really important to honor that schedule as much as you can,
and trying to get the babies on the same schedule, so one doesn't start screaming. Okay.
So to answer your question, I gravitate toward multiples.
Oh, okay.
So, and some of my clients know that. So if
but I'm also thinking, if anybody in the audience knows an expectant mother, it's okay not, if you already have kids, you can still help, because it's always difficult adding one more to the mix, whether it's 2 to 3 or 5 to 6 or 4
You're even more mindful of what to expect.
Yeah.
Like, oh gosh, I'm not going to sleep for a long time. I need some support, which I love. It's beautiful to see them having that foresight and taking care of themselves and their family and their partnership, their marriage. It's nice to see. That's what I've taken away from this too, is the great teamwork out there I have seen with my clients, and I love it. It makes me so proud of these people bringing children into the world. It's wonderful. It's great.
Okay. Yep. Now, jumping back to the training, because we talked about the different levels of training. Do you need to, and we talked about trends changing over time. Do you need to repeat your training every so often, every 2 years, every year?
Yeah, you can become recertified.
Okay.
And it's not mandatory, but they encourage you to continue your education in whatever you may want to do. So, for example,
like we talked about the wedge versus
right.
on your back.
I'm passionate about sleep, so I have since attended.
I agree with you.
I have since attended some sleep seminars. Hosted by postpartum doulas or some sleep specialists. Just to help me in my business, but also because I'm fascinated by it. So it's that. So it's not mandatory, but it's encouraged.
And it probably, on the other end, makes you more appealing to new clients because you are well versed in
a few different things,
several fields.
Right. Yep.
Okay, so we talked a little bit about bouncing around. That's why I have my cheat sheet. We talked about how you want to make sure the mom is doing okay.
Healing,
and just, psychologically, emotionally, spiritually. Then we go to the baby. And is part of that training also recognizing what is normal baby behavior versus developmental delays? Especially like for a first-time mom, my child's 6 months old and she's not rolling over yet.
Right.
Is there something wrong? Versus, it could just be she's going to take longer, or, there is a problem.
Right.
Do you go through some training to figure out the differences?
So we don't diagnose because we're not medical. I mean, that's really.
But you also don't want to, panic the parents,
right,
saying, your child's 6 months old, she should be rolling over by now.
Exactly.
You know.
So my approach is everything that we have is a guideline.
Okay.
It's a guideline. It's just there to let us
Suggestion.
know, right? And every baby is different. Every mother is different.
Okay.
Even mom to baby 1 versus baby 3, you could be different. So everything is a guideline. And if we have some concerns, then let's talk to the pediatrician.
Okay.
Because I am a mother myself of 3, and just with my experience, I can speak to that. I would never again diagnose. I would never say, your child,
I didn't mean to sound like I was trying to get you to diagnose, but it's just like,
but if I notice, I don't know. Yeah, if I notice that maybe tummy time isn't, if the head's not up, rising enough, or they don't seem strong enough on tummy time, at 8 weeks, I will just ask, have you had the checkup with the doctor, and tell me about the visit. Typically, when I ask in that way, it will come up. And so my concern and just the way I sort of present the question doesn't become alarming. It becomes, yes, I noticed that too, Mom will say. And we talked about that. And then I'll say, wonderful, great. So what can we do to help? How can we strengthen the neck, for this example? So that's
my kids hated tummy time, and so did I.
Yes.
It's like, no, I don't want to do this.
Yeah. They don't like it.
They don't like it, no. And I could only take so much.
Yeah. And the new babies, you can put them on your chest, and that means tummy time too, because you know how it's involuntary, but sometimes they put the head up, and that's a form of it. So I like to tell my new moms that too, and they feel, yay, I'm doing tummy time.
I like that.
Yep.
So I think we just kind of answered the next question of how, since you can't diagnose, how do you guide them into seeking the help that they need?
Yes. So I've built a rapport, and there is a trust, and there is a friendship. But there's still a professionalism, And so just based on my experience and what I have seen, I will, like I said, I will ask in a certain way, or just suggest. And sometimes I can say, I can pick up the phone and dial the number if you'd like, and give the phone to you to talk to the pediatrician, because sometimes they don't want to face it, So it's just sort of in your approach, and just make sure it just comes from a knowledge-based, evidence-based, knowledge-based background and experience. I can't just say, this is what I think, just based on my experience of what I've seen, I've seen 5.
Because nobody ever wants to hear that something might be wrong.
Exactly.
Whether it's with themselves or with their perfect newborn, because all newborn.
Yeah.
My children have to be perfect,
Right.
So, so let's back up a little bit. How do you establish this relationship with your clients?
We meet.
Okay.
And then, so I do a home visit.
I also want to talk about leading into the ground rules of, so you don't have to be expected to mop the floor.
Right. So I will get a call, and the first thing I do is a home visit, because to me that's very important. It's a complimentary home visit. Come in and just to see the physical space and to meet Mom and Dad.
Okay.
And it's in that moment where, for me anyways, where that trust is. It happens. It starts right there, because I'll just.
And do you also find out at this point, yes, I'm interested in working with them as a client, or run?
I suppose yes, but I've never had to run.
Okay.
I've never had to.
Because I'm like, could you, in your professional position, say, no, I'm sorry, I'm not going to work with you?
Yeah, you can say it's just. Okay. Yeah, and it's that mutual respect.
Okay.
And you're working with people. That's how I see it. It's a mutual respect and honesty of that. I bet there's another postpartum doula that would work so well with your family. Something. But I've never had to do that.
Do you ever? Is it acceptable behavior for you to refer them to other doulas?
Sure. I don't see why not. I think it's all in the approach. I think if
because I can't talk anymore. You were mentioning before the show, you are currently working with one family. You soon will be working with another family. You probably don't have the time, to work with a third or fourth family. So if somebody called you, could you say, look, I'm not available right now. How about you go talk to this person?
For sure.
Or
yes,
okay.
Referrals.
So there
are a
is
big
that
part
professional relationship.
Yeah,
okay.
Yep. And if I don't know something, I can refer them to,
Okay.
that through just reaching out to other postpartum doulas that I know.
Okay.
I belong to a group, and that's what we do all the time. Oh, I've got a family who's looking for, whatever.
Okay.
But I'll throw it in there and get a list of references and resources for them if I don't have the answers.
So I'm also thinking in my head, one of the questions that I had also was the difference between a doula versus a nanny versus a housekeeper. You talked earlier about providing that support, but how do you establish that those three are definitely three separate roles? Oh, I just need to take a nap. Can you babysit my kids? Or can you take them to the park just this once?
Right.
And it's like, just this once is fine, but you don't want to set the precedent.
So I am hired as a postpartum doula, and most clients and families know what that is. And they've either been recommended.
So they're not like me.
Well,
I'm learning.
That's right. So their doctor, especially if it's a family with multiples, so you definitely need social support. You need support. So look into postpartum doulas for after, when the babies come. So I've lost my train of thought. Where were we?
Setting the ground rules and differentiating between.
Right. So they know what a postpartum doula is. They know that it's about mothering the mother and then taking care of the children, the babies, and then the family, and then that sort of there. And there have been some where I have to, that maybe they do ask, and I will say I'm not comfortable with that. I'll just say I am not comfortable with that role. And they'll say, okay, I didn't know. I just thought I would ask.
Feeding the dog.
Or I think she wanted me
feeding
to iron.
the python.
I think somebody wanted me to do some ironing. And I just wasn't comfortable with that. And actually, who asked to iron was Grandma. Because Grandma was there. Grandma was there as well. It was the two of us there. And Grandma was like, could you be interested? And I said, that's not really in the realm of what we do.
That's not really, no.
I'm happy to fold the baby's clothes and set up the baby's changing station and restock all that.
Yeah, if you fold the clothes, does that also mean you'll do the laundry or empty the diaper pail or,
So
the diaper genie.
Right, and it all depends on the flow of the day. It's typically 4 hours a day that I'm there.
Okay, so it's only short.
And that's to answer. So a nanny is typically maybe 5 days a week, 8 to 10 hours a day sometimes. And so they're doing a little bit
full-time
of
job.
everything. Okay, they're doing definitely childcare, but they're also doing household stuff. That's part of their job description. And a house cleaner, we know that they come in and that's what they do. They're not.
My housekeeper saved my marriage.
Yeah, right, I know.
Well, maybe not that extreme, but
Yeah, right. So that's the housekeeper taking care of the physical space. The postpartum doula, we are trained professionals to come in to help, as I said, with the physical part, the emotional part, the spiritual part of transitioning from no baby to baby, in this time, and that's our role. We are there to do that.
So, I'm kind of glancing at my notes to make sure we're covering everything. When do you start working with the family? Are you in the delivery room? Are you meeting them in the hospital before they come home? Do you necessarily need to help them out in preparation for the new family member coming home? Where does your role begin?
So the postpartum period is the 4th trimester. So that's 0 to 12 weeks, and for multiples, 16. So the first 3 months to 4 months after the baby is born.
After the baby is home?
Is home, yeah. When the baby's home, that's when I
Because sometimes the baby's in the hospital for a little while.
Yeah, and you just wait.
3 to 5 days or...
So working with multiples, typically, someone is staying in the NICU. That's kind of how it works out. Someone's usually there. So what I love about this career for me is the flexibility. I really do, because I am first and foremost mom to my children, and I like the flexibility of making my own schedule and working around my schedule.
That helps.
Yeah, it's wonderful. However, I have a great support system, so if I know enough in advance of what a client, a family needs, then I can work on my end. So it's a wonderful balance. It really works out really nice. We just sit down with the calendar and sort of figure it out week by week. But sometimes I'm hired beforehand, and that's when I do a home visit to meet everyone. Mom is pregnant, and I get to see the whole thing beforehand. And then I'll get the call, we're home, or we had the baby.
We'll see you in 3 days.
Yeah, I'm not in the hospital.
We'll see you on Thursday.
Right. When would you like me to come?
Okay.
Actually, this is texting. This is what we do now, is text, right? So when would you like me to come? And I'll get a lot, can you meet us there when we come home? Sure. Okay. Absolutely. Or I'll get that, but I also will get, we want to be home for a few days, figure this out. Why don't you come, 3 or 4 days in?
Okay.
And we'll figure it out from there. So that's a situation where they've booked me and hired me before.
Okay.
I do get lots of calls at about 6 weeks in. What have I got myself into? You've been recommended to me. Can you please come over whenever you can come over? And then I'll come over, and we would talk, and I'll ask what's been going on, and then I'll provide options.
So why do you think you need a postpartum doula?
Right. How can I help you?
Okay, you wouldn't really be phrasing it that way.
Right. It's how can I help you? What can I do? I'm here for you. How can I help you? And do you need to sleep? You need to take a nap? You need to take a shower? Do you need to be fed? Do you need me to help you soothe the baby? Throw the laundry in? It's that, how can I help you?
Sometimes, there are colicky babies. Yeah. There are babies with food allergies who have, I don't want to go into details, but little higher maintenance.
Yeah. And so that's hard. It's hard on everybody if there's constant vomiting. That's like extra
projectile.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's just extra laundry, and it's just tiresome. It's a lot.
About.
Right. So I come in and,
which brand of diapers do I use? I just had a blowout,
Right, exactly. And so we talk about that.
Okay.
There are nighttime diapers to use. Let's switch to these. Great. I worked with a client who used these, and they had a lot of success with it. Let's try it. Great. Let's go out and try it. So I'll either pick it up on my way there the next day, or the partner will go out and get it, and come back. It's that kind of problem-solving stuff.
Now, I'm also, I think we touched upon this, but guidelines for how long you normally work with a family.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
you
so
said
it's
generally like 3 months versus 4 months?
Every family is different. Every family is different. They know their financial means, and they know what they need. So I can be there for a couple of weeks, or I can be there for a couple of months. And I can be there a day or two, or 5 days a week. It's really...
Because I'm also thinking, I know you don't diagnose, but if a mom, it turned out that she did have postpartum depression, she might need your help for a little longer while she gets her situation under control.
Yep. For sure. Yeah, and so we would just, in the moment, figure out where we were.
Or if there were a problem with the baby, where, Okay.
I am there to guide and support
so
and
there's
encourage.
No steadfast rule.
No.
Okay.
No, it's pretty flexible.
All right.
Yeah.
Now, we talked about seeing the mom while she's pregnant, or the 4th trimester, when they're home from the hospital after having given birth. Would families ever need a postpartum doula if they adopted a child?
Sure.
Because it's still, the mom
still transitioning.
might not have physical issues, but they're still
becoming a new parent, and they still need.
And sometimes there's no warning. Like if you are pregnant, you have a good several months
Right. Sure.
to know that this is coming. But
Right.
sometimes you wait years and years
Yeah.
and years, and all of a sudden you get a phone call saying, come and get a kid at the hospital.
Yeah. Right.
So it's like, oh my, okay, here's,
Yes. That's lots of emotional support, lots of
Yeah,
talking,
okay.
lots of talking through. Like,
Okay.
wow, it's happened. We're here.
Okay.
Oh my goodness. It was,
Now what?
yeah, exactly. So it's just that, again, that encouragement.
How do I ramp up to get to that level
Yep.
without the warning or...
Yep, and just the guidance, support, and education to empower
Okay.
these people and let them know you can do it. You've got this.
Okay.
You're amazing. The baby's amazing. We can get through this.
Okay.
I promise we'll get through this.
Okay, because
Together.
there's a lot of differences between, having birthed a child and adopting, because
Yeah.
sometimes with adopting, you have no idea the history, and there could be a lot more unknowns.
Yeah, yeah. I haven't worked with a family yet.
Okay.
I hope to, but it's still just providing postpartum support.
Okay.
It's still that. It doesn't change. It's still, I'm still providing the guidance and the knowledge and encouragement. And go take a nap, and relax, and I'll teach you how to soothe and swaddle and all that stuff.
Okay.
It would be the same.
Now, again, I know we touched upon this a little bit, but your personal history, you've always loved working with babies. You've always loved little tiny humans. But you've also said that when you are working with a client, you have to maintain an objectivity. How do you do both? Because you must become emotionally attached. Is there like a support system that you can have as a postpartum doula to talk to other doulas about maintaining that objectivity versus just wanting to pick up this little human and gobble them up,
Right. So I know my role, and I'm
Okay.
comfortable with my role. I'm there
Okay.
to teach, and encourage, and love. And so as far as, I have other postpartum doula friends, and we do
Okay.
communicate, but I know my role.
Okay.
So it doesn't ever
Yeah,
sort
up
of,
here
it
though
doesn't ever-
sometimes is different than
Yeah.
how you feel in the heart. So I'm just wondering,
Right. Well, the level of professionalism, I guess,
Okay. Just keep reminding yourself, this is a job. I am not the mother-in-law.
Right.
Not that you're ready to be a mother-in-law, but yeah,
Right. I know.
back
what you
up
mean.
from that. But
Yeah. No, I don't ever find that challenge. I've never had that.
Okay.
It's very natural for me to know that this baby
okay, that's
is
cool.
yours.
Because I'd be afraid that I
Yeah.
would just kind of get sucked into the whole emotional side of.
Yeah, no, it's just being trained a certain way, and again, being a teacher, I guess,
Okay.
or just in the way I was brought up, in my culture, and you just love everybody, and it's just kind of what you do, and
Okay.
there really isn't for me anyways,
Okay.
a boundary of I can't let this baby go,
Well, I'm not. I don't want to take it to the extreme, but
Yep.
I'm just thinking, okay, I'll take your kids out to the playground to give you a break because they're adorable children and I love being around them.
Yeah.
Versus, no, I think they can just watch TV a while. They're kind of pains in the tuchus, I don't know.
Again, it's a level of
Professionalism.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's unacceptable.
Okay.
My job is.
This is the role. This is the role.
Yeah, my job
Okay.
is to encourage and love and support and care for
Okay.
to the best of my ability. And so, if I offer to take the 2-year-old out to the playground, we're going to go play in the playground so mom can rest. That's it's for the whole family.
Okay.
It's to help the whole family during this time. And
Okay.
if taking the 2-year-old out of the picture
Okay.
for a little while helps out, great.
Okay.
Or mom might want to take 2-year-old out and I'll stay with the baby.
Okay.
That kind of, because that's going to help.
Because
with the
2-year-old is used to
flow.
being an only child.
That's right, exactly. So it's all just
I
helping the
want
flow of the
mommy.
family and with
Okay.
this new transition. and encouraging the families and empowering them, and we can get through this. You will do this, and it's hard, but you've got it. And how can I help you? I mean, that's really, how can I help you be the best you can be? Because I know you can be the best you can be, and I'm going to help you find that.
Perfect.
That's what I do.
It's what I do. It's what I live for. Sorry, I saw Little Mermaid this past weekend, so anyway, my inner Ursula's coming out.
Mm-hmm.
Now I completely lost my train of thought. Oh, you did mention your cultural upbringing.
Yeah.
And earlier we talked about grandma asking you to iron, which kind of brings me into my next question.
Yeah.
Have you noticed any cultural differences in your clients where certain cultures tend to rely on outside help versus certain cultures stay away from the outside help and let just the family make the adjustment? I mean, do you see?
I've worked with many different cultural backgrounds.
Okay.
I have.
Do you see
many different.
any different play in, well, not really play, but.
Well, it depends on what their traditions are and what their belief systems are. Based on their culture, I don't feel.
Or even outside of culture, do you find yourself working with families who have extended family who live far away versus we live right next to grandma's house, so grandma can come over anytime she wants?
A lot of my clients are transplants.
May or may not be good. Transplants.
Right. Lots of transplants. Lots of people that don't have mom or sister or best friend close by.
Okay.
They're of course on your phone, everyone is close by there.
Yeah, but the phone can't really help you.
Give you a hug or give you a drink or
let you take a nap.
Right, that's what it's about.
Make me a sandwich.
Yeah, but I also have worked, like I said, with some family members there too. And to me, again, growing up in a big Italian family, the more the merrier. So I don't. I'm quite comfortable giving everybody a role too. And how can grandma help? How can
because grandma needs
doula,
to be here.
Right. How can postpartum doula and grandma help this transition? How can we
grandma
all do
isn't
this?
really helpful.
Right. So my job is to find her.
Put grandma in her place.
Find her some great ways of being helpful.
Yes. You can iron.
Right.
No, okay.
Right.
Maybe not.
Right. Well, grandma, how can we do this together? It's really about how you ask your questions and how you come across that way that you can then get what needs to be done. And everyone feels respected and valued, and that's what you want. Because that's where the confidence is built, and that's the goal.
Now, I gotta stop saying the word now. Like, oh. Do you partner with any other community organizations?
I do not.
At all?
Personally. I don't.
Okay.
No, just maybe I will in the future. But right now, things are working out really well for me. And it works with my family situation and what I'm doing and my children, their schedule and the schedule. So
I'm not sure which community organizations you would partner with, but like area hospitals or, like you mentioned, the rec center or.
I really find, and a lot of us agree, the doulas, that it's really about referrals and just, so if various social media.
Early intervention, do you have a working relationship with something like them? Should you?
I could refer.
Okay.
Find references to that, but no, I don't.
Okay.
I could possibly hook up with a lactation consultant, maybe, right? Okay, I could, so we could work together that way.
Yeah, kind of like that.
That would be something that could happen. That
So
may happen in the future.
I'm not an expert in this, but we do need help in this situation.
Exactly.
Let me call this person.
Exactly. Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that could be down the road, but not necessarily right now.
But that would actually be really neat if we could do that. But it'll get there. I've been doing this technically for 4 years. I think I've been doing it my whole life, quite frankly. But technically unofficially. Because it's just a passion.
You put the job title on it 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So, do you have any advice for someone who might be interested in becoming a postpartum doula?
Well, you have to have lots of patience. You have
to okay, that rules me out.
You have to have a love of children and families and be comfortable going to different homes and comfortable with the breakup of the schedule because it's not consistent. You're in it for 3 to 4 months and then you move on to someone.
It's like contract work.
To something, it is someone else, work. Right? It is. So I'm really comfortable with it. I'm actually surprised by how comfortable coming from teaching 5 days a week, very structured, summers off, vacations and things. But I've evolved into realizing that this is just the way of it. So it has its ebbs and flows, and you just plan ahead for that.
Okay.
And it kind of comes in, like, actually I'm with 3 families right
now.
now.
Oh, wow. Okay.
But I was lucky to have...
Did not realize that.
Yeah,
okay.
But I was lucky to have June and July pretty light. So I could be home with my kids. And now
if you were working with 3 families, would you personally or professionally be able to control the number of hours you worked?
Yes.
It's like, nope, sorry.
Yes. Typically families like 4 to 5 hours a day.
Okay.
That's because they're paying for it. We didn't discuss this, but they're paying for it themselves.
Okay. That was another question.
It's
so
out of
insurance
their pocket.
doesn't.
No, not yet. Some, I think they're working toward that. Trying to.
Because I'm just thinking, psychological, physical. I mean, it's preventative.
Yep. Yeah.
A lot of times.
It should be.
So.
Yep. So I think we're heading in that direction.
Okay.
Lots of talks about that. So again, like I said before, each family knows their financial situation and what they need and what they can handle. But typically 4 to 5 hours.
Like a chunk of 4 to 5 hours.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. A day, 2 to 3 times a week.
Okay.
Yeah, that's kind of how it works. And so I can, I work about a 30-minute, 45-minute from radius from Burlington, which can be tough if I'm going into Boston, that area. We know where we are on 128 and 93.
Oh, yeah.
So, and most clients respect that and understand, and so we'll do like, okay, how about a 10 to 2? So we can sort of avoid the morning traffic and before we hit the evening traffic. That's what tends to happen. That's the dialogue that happens a lot. Yeah, or if I know in advance, okay, we'll do an evening shift and being like a 6 to 10 or something.
Because I would think it would be helpful to the new family to try getting you to come in at different chunks, not always 10 to 2, but sometimes 10 to 2, sometimes 6 to 2, 6 to 10, or just to kind of
break
eventually learn around the clock, but not all at once.
Right, exactly. Yep.
Okay. Would you believe we're out of time?
Are we out of time?
We are out of time. I'm like checking the clock going,
that was good.
So thank you so much for coming. It was fun and talking about little kids, little humans. And I want to thank everyone for tuning in at home. Hopefully you enjoyed our conversation as much as I did. And I hope you have a wonderful week. I'll see you around town. Good night.